Good to go? Okay. Howdy, good folks. Welcome to yet another session of Wadhwani Startup Vision Live. Today, we have with us Srikanth Iyer. He's built a company called HomeLane. You'd see HomeLane around there getting very good at advertising and creating content these days. So you've seen them on your feeds, and if you live in one of the 50 locations they have their stores in, you would have seen their stores as well.
32.
32 locations. 50 stores?
We have more about 84 stores, but 32 cities.
Okay, bad research. Thanks for correcting me. So, Srikanth, how big is HomeLane?
So HomeLane, we have totally about 3,000 people now, little short of 3,000. These are full-time employees. We are present in about 32 cities. We serve approximately 1,000 to 1,200 homes every month, as in we pretty much install anywhere between 35 and 40 homes a day and hand it over.
35 to 40
40
homes
homes
a day.
every day, single day. And we have two main brands. We have HomeLane and we have Design Cafe in the whole system. So that's what we are today.
Got it. And what would you sort of peg your revenue or valuation at?
Valuation, I think I'll let it to the more intelligent people to figure, so I won't take a guess on that. Revenues, we are at a run rate of about 1,000 crores per year.
Right.
And more importantly, this quarter onwards, we will be EBITDA profitable. So we are not dependent on external funding anymore, hopefully. So that's where we are.
So you've built 1,000 crore business in how long? How long did it take you to get here?
Just finished 10 years. So 10 years of it.
So you built 1,000 crore business in 10 years.
Yes.
Got it. And you raised investment throughout. You raised funding throughout.
Yes.
Throughout the journey.
Yes.
But when I did a little bit of research about you, you have very interesting thoughts on how should you approach funding. And there is also a story out in the public that people, at least early stage founders, you've been a serial entrepreneur, you've built two businesses before this. So, perhaps, I mean, at the cost of being wrong, I can say funding comes easy to you. But nobody says no to money when they're starting out a business because it gives them the runway, it gives them the comfort, it gives them the focus. Why did you say no to around about $5 million back in the day when you were building HomeLane?
Yeah, so this is how it happened, right? So I was in edtech for about 14 years, and I had gotten a reasonably good exit from that edtech.
Right.
I started a company called EduRite in like 2000, along with a couple of co-founders. Ran it through two acquisitions, and finally it got sold. At that point in time, obviously, it was one of the largest deals in edtech. We got bought for about $200 million by this company called Pearson,
Wow.
UK based. And so it was a good outcome for many people, and it also got a lot of good press, etc., etc., etc. At that point in time, I was also sure. By the way, I worked for Pearson for a year as their CEO for K-12 in India, and I ran their K-12 business for them. In about a year, I was clear that that's not what I wanted to do, and I needed to go back and roll up my sleeves and do one
How
more
old were
gig.
you?
44, 43, 44.
So at 44, you didn't want to build a business in the industry you were skilled in.
No, so that's what I'm saying. I'll come to that. So then I had this opportunity to work with a very large VC, without naming them, with a very large VC who was very keen that I do one more edtech.
Okay.
So they said, hey, you know what? You want to do an edtech broadly. Why don't you become like an entrepreneur in residence? Think of the idea with us, develop the idea with us, build the business plan with us. And if you're willing to do that, we'll write you a $5 million check as whatever, Series A funding. And they were very keen on that. Sounded like a good idea. And to be fair, for the first few weeks, I was also not able to decide whether I wanted to go the one more edtech way or something completely different, which was this eventually, but I was not even sure what that other turn was. But as I kept thinking about it a little bit more, I guess I had edtech fatigue, as I would call it. Said, 14 साल हो गया, अभी बहुत हो गया, अभी कुछ और करते हैं. Let's try and disrupt something else. अभी edtech को तो कुछ कर ही दिया. So that was really more my intent. I was not motivated enough to do it. And then the 5 million was very inviting, but not inviting enough for me to commit. See, you want to build any decent business brand, it takes you 10 years, in my opinion.
Right.
So the first advice I would give is, if unless and until you're willing to dedicate the next 10 years of your life into building something large,
Don't do it.
don't do it. So, and I didn't want, at that point in time, I was clear that one more edtech for another 5-10 years, not my cup of tea.
So, Srikanth, you said no to a seed check of $5 million. A lot of entrepreneurs who are probably first time entrepreneurs or, raising money for the first time, in these tides that we see, we've seen the crypto bubble or crypto wave. Now we're seeing the AI wave. I won't call it a bubble. And before that, we've seen the digital wave in, COVID time. A lot of entrepreneurs, because VC money chases trends, a lot of entrepreneurs build for these trends.
Yeah.
And you had a VC who was convinced and willing to take a bet on you for EdTech. What is wrong with this mentality? What do early stage founders get wrong about funding, which you, coming from where you are, get it right?
So I'll tell you what, first of all, I have this whole theory and thing about love what you do and do what you love kind of a thing, right? There is always a comparison between the two. Let me just speak about that for a minute, because I think it's an important differentiation.
Okay.
You know that very famously Steve Jobs said, if you love what you do, then you don't have to get up enthused every day. Automatically you will be obsessed with it. You will love it. You don't have to work hard, because automatically you will work hard.
Work is play.
But I don't know if you know, but Jensen Huang has said a very famous thing. He's saying, what you do.
Who's he?
Sorry, he is the CEO of what's the chip company?
Intel?
No.
Nvidia.
Right,
Yes.
Nvidia, sorry, how
Yes.
did I forget? So he said something very, very profound. He said, it's not love what you do. It's love what you do. It's not do what you love. So he said, I have cleaned bathrooms for a living. I waited in restaurants for a living. I've cleaned tables for a living. I have done all kinds of jobs for a living. I used to love doing what I did at that point in time.
Right.
Actually, it's the same. I feel that I've kind of tried to follow that path. I did EdTech for a living. I was not an EdTech expert by any stretch of imagination. I run an interior design business today. I'm not an interior designer.
Yeah.
I cannot design my own house to save my life.
Right.
But I don't need to. But I love what I do, which is scale businesses, build business, and I'm willing to persevere for however long it takes to succeed. I think that is the differentiation, which is basically whatever you do, learn to love it. You will not love it the first day. I was also thinking, yaar, मैं kitchen बेचूंगा क्या, मैं wardrobe बेचूंगा क्या पहले. And coming from EdTech, a little bit of a, not a bad this one to be in. And then now I love it. I have now started having opinions on what colors people should choose. I mean, it's come to that. So to me, I kind of believe very much that it is easier for you to love what you do and fall in love with it after you commit yourself to it, rather than look for that one thing that. And I'll tell you what made my decision easier. I was clear of what I did not want to do, which was EdTech again. So it was kind of a whitelist versus a blacklist, but the blacklist actually is easier for you, right? You know intrinsically you're a techie and you'd like to build a tech product. You know intrinsically that you are a finance guy and you want to build something maybe in fintech. You know intrinsically that you have these skills and you want to build based on those skills. But you also know that you are a fintech guy. You don't want to go and build something in agri-tech, for example. Maybe, right? Maybe. So at least be clear on what you don't want to do. And that really was my turning point, which is I was clear I didn't want to do one more tech. Then I said, okay, now what choices do I have? And then this is where I am.
Got it. Now, okay, cool. Again, answer my question about what do people get wrong about funding? Because VCs chase certain trends, entrepreneurs chase money, or entrepreneurs chase VC and VC chase certain trends. So entrepreneurs end up building something for investors. That happens more often than we would like to admit. What do these people
get wrong?
Yeah.
2-3 things. First thing,
Because they can also end up loving AI. They
yeah,
can also end up
no,
loving
no, no,
crypto.
100%. Though, no, now I'll talk only about funding and what people I feel get wrong.
Right.
Not all businesses require funding.
Okay.
So be identify whether yours does or not. If you are going to build, I'm just saying, going to be a real estate broker in HSR layout, you don't need funding. And it's a very profitable business. You can make a lot of money being that. So you don't need to raise money for it.
You can eat into other people's
Correct.
fundings.
No, but it's true, right?
Right.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is not all businesses are created alike.
Right.
Not all businesses need hyper growth.
Right.
Not all businesses should hyper grow. In some ways,
Okay.
I mean, Nikhil Kamath has built, we all know, has built one of the most valuable business in the country. He's not raised a dime, right? So there are enough and more avenues as long as, but then take grow, for example. They started later, they wanted to go faster and they wanted to build a similar business. They have raised money because you need more fuel to go, rocket fuel to go faster in a shorter time frame if you have to catch up with somebody who's been there doing it for 10 years.
Right.
So that's the difference. There is no one way. To be clear on what your business type is first. Second, if you're raising money from anybody, be clear that you need to be 100% transparent in running your business. Your corporate governance needs to be, there is only one level, which is top notch. There is no other level. So if you, for whatever reason, if you have a background of running a family business, not, sharing either stake with others or information with others, then maybe funding is not for you. So you click that switch in your mind before you get into this. It's not like I've ever raised money. I had ever raised money before EdTech or before this, right? But I was very clear. If I am going to, it's my fiduciary responsibility to run it without any corporate governance issues. Zero.
Clean.
Very. So to me, not all businesses are VCable or should be. We should borrow VC money or should not borrow, whatever, raise VC money.
Right.
And you also need not have a fit with funding. So please think about this doubly before you jump in, because I've seen enough people who are not comfortable being answerable to somebody else.
Right.
And then they start getting resentful. Arey yaar, he's asking me to hire this guy. How can he tell me? Arey yaar,
It's his money.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to.
Okay.
But you also need to be clear that this is the line. Operationally, I am the one who's running it. I'm not going to take any, BS as far as that's concerned. I'm very happy listening to financial advice, strategic advice, all other advice from you. But operationally, I am what it is. You can only do that if you are setting those standards yourself. So that's really what I would advise.
See, be clear in your head is fine. But saying no to money is also very hard.
Yeah, but saying no to money for what? For the wrong reasons, no? You're going to be
What is the
going
right
down
reason?
a rabbit hole which you really don't want to go in.
How much can you know before you're starting a business?
You do know because you know what kind of gross margins that business is generating today. Because I'm assuming, unless it's a completely, I'm launching a business to launch a rocket which will go into the moon. By the way, there are funded businesses like that, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about, you have no choice, you have to raise money. But like I said, if you're going to be a
Real estate
broker here, you don't need to. So see, so those attributes will be clear. So you need to be able to recognize that and then go the path of either raising money or not raising money, according to me.
Got it. Okay. Now tell me, let's go down this, route of building a profitable business, not needing to raise money, because that's the kind of entrepreneurship we also promote. That hey, build something, monetize it, and get enough income to first of all support yourself and also support employees, have employees, create jobs. So tell me, a lot of, and this is, I'm trying to draw a parallel to the kind of entrepreneurship that we are seeing today. On one side, you can be pre-revenue, pre-product, pre-business, and you can raise something to just test an idea. On the other side, let's say you've chosen to be profitable. You don't want to build a 1,000 crore business. You want to build a 2-3 crore business. How do you test your idea in a, for the lack of a better word, cheap manner. So you're not burning through your savings because every money that you put is your savings.
So that good idea, the good part is that there is a lot of capital available today for you to use to test your ideas.
I don't want to raise money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then you have to innovate. Then you have to make sure that you are either going to a large player who's your customer, potentially your customer, and ask them to backfund you. Otherwise, you see, how are you going to? You need to get either working capital going or R&D going if you're coming out of the product. For that, you will need money or put your own money.
I have few lakhs in savings. I'm happy to allocate that, but how
There
do
is no better way of putting money where your mouth is in putting in. If you have X saved away, putting a large percentage of that X is the biggest statement you can make to any VC coming in also, even at a later stage, because you have staked your life on it. And that's exactly what a VC is looking for.
Okay.
Because you are then tied at the hip with the company, with the success or failure of the company. So that's exactly what they're looking for. So if I were an entrepreneur today, I will first of all delay raising funds till the last possible second. Why? Because I've progressed that much with my own money and my valuation can be that much, potentially that much more. I can fail also, obviously. Then I'll lose my money, but that's the risk. But if I do succeed, then I am actually raising at a much higher value, so my dilution will be much lower. So that would be my sincere advice, which is if you have few lakhs saved away, if you have an idea which is going to be accomplished in that budget, then please put your money first. Because even if you're going to raise money later, by the way, I do believe if you start with an idea and you think you're going to need X dollars, you normally require 3X dollars. That's the thumb rule I would go with. So A, don't plan for X, plan for 3X. You need 3X dollars, you need 3X time, and you need 3X resources. You will feel you need 10 employees, you will actually need 30 employees. So that's really what I've seen. So do that and make sure that your plan is conservative and you have some gas left in the tank if it doesn't go well. So you don't want to be in a situation where you are then desperate to raise and then you raise at whatever terms that come to you. That's the problem many times that happens.
Tell me, was this the HomeLane story as well? Did you put your own money? You didn't accept the first check. We all know that. Did you put your own money? Did you do the first cycle by yourself?
No. So I was lucky enough that for Series A, I raised Series A directly. And
how did you test the idea or test the market?
So there are two types of businesses you can build.
Okay.
One is a completely new. I want to launch a new rocket to the moon, which is literally a moonshot idea, right? And I want to launch whatever, an app which will give people to invest 100 rupees, like Jar, for example, as a business, right? That's one, which is I'm creating a new market. I'm creating a new segment. But we were not doing that. We were very clear. People were buying homes. People were building kitchens. People were building wardrobes. We were disrupting the experience. So I was making it more efficient. I was making it more predictable. You will get great quality. You will get good price, and you will get it on time. That was really the innovation, or that was really the disruption that I was coming up with.
Can you sort of give a little more context to the audience? Maybe folks who don't know about HomeLane, they're not customers of HomeLane.
So our typical target prospect is a homeowner who has bought a house or is renovating the house. We help them set up their house into a livable home. And this is customized as per their requirements, their tastes, their budgets, and their timelines. What we offer as HomeLane, as the USP, is if you go to an unorganized markets, you typically get stuck with a little bit of an unpredictable experience. The budget keeps going up, like spiraling up. The timeline keeps going up, and the quality that you get, you're not really sure. So with somebody like a HomeLane, you get like a 10-year warranty, you get after sales service, you're dealing with a brand, and we give you a 45 days or we pay you rent guarantee, which is we give you back your house in 45 days or we'll pay you rent for every day of delay. That's the brand promise that we came up with.
Right.
So that's the predictability that I'm talking about, and that was the disruption. So there are two types of businesses, going back to my original point. One is you disrupt an existing solution market, which is what we were going to do.
So
there was no PMF that I really needed to test. I only needed to test whether people would buy from at a 20%. The only test I needed to do was we are about 20-25% more expensive
premium
than the unorganized segment. Are people willing to pay that 20-25% more for this convenience?
Faster, more organized.
The experience is better. We have a software platform called Spacecraft.
Right.
The customer can see the whole design on Spacecraft.
Got it.
And like Lego blocks, your kitchen is getting built. As it's getting built, the price is ticking. You can see like a taximeter, the price going up. So it's all very transparent. So that experience is very different. So that whether people are willing to pay for all of it, are they willing to pay 20% more, is the only thing I needed to test, which I did. But for each project, you make money, right? It's not like you're going to buy at 100 rupees and give it at 90 rupees or 110 rupees even. The gross margins in this business are very good. Today, our gross margins are in the 50% range. And at that point in time, it was in the 30% range when we started. So we were still making money per project.
Right.
So we were not like losing money hand over fist, or we were not trying some very new kind of a product with a product market fit.
Right.
Like, for example, even in our own industry today, robos painting walls is a new thing which is coming up. But I was not doing something so drastic where, I have to prove the ROI of a robo going to a house and actually painting a house in so many days and the cost of that versus so and so. It was not so drastic. So it was reasonably, like I said, disrupting an existing market. So PMF, we found within the first year or so, we did make a lot of mistakes.
It was more like you were finding PMF not for the product. Everyone was buying interiors.
Yes.
It was more like the promise of premium, hassle-free, that you found
convenient and predictable. Most importantly, predictable.
Right.
Predictable quality, predictable timeline, predictable cost.
I think these kind of businesses, before you get to the other kind of businesses, which would be innovative and you really need money. Going to space has no margins right now, I think. So you need money for that. But yeah, these kind of businesses, I think, are rather safe. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, because there's a predictable market. You will make some money. You're not going to die finding PMF.
Yeah. So why do you need to raise money?
No, sure. Why do you need to raise money? And secondly, why do we glamorize other kind of businesses more? Why do we glamorize businesses that are trying to do something? Why do we glamorize somebody trying to build a social network?
Yeah, so I'll tell you why. So it's because you're changing consumer behavior. Here I'm not. I'm only enhancing the customer experience. But there you're changing customer behavior.
Right.
You never used to look at your phone and look at it 10 times in 1 hour, right?
Right.
Now you do. And why have you done that? Because it's social media mainly. And that's changed customer.
That needs a lot of capital investment upfront.
It does. Because it takes a lot of time to change. So somebody needs to fund that.
And that's a bigger graveyard of startups as well.
It is also. It's high risk, high reward.
Right.
High risk, high reward.
Right.
So very low percentage of them succeed. But when you succeed, you really succeed.
Right.
But that's how it is. That's how life is.
Right.
So, but coming back, why did I need to raise money, right? It's a valid question.
Yeah, I mean,
I only told you I had gross margins of 30%.
Yeah.
So why will I need to raise money?
Yes.
Because I wanted to grow faster than the industry. Let's say the industry grows at X%. Let's assume just hypothetically 15% per annum. I wanted to grow at 200% per annum. For that, because it's unnatural growth. For that, you need to spend more money on acquiring customers and a little bit more money on servicing customers also.
Got it.
Because you want to grow faster. Growth is your goal, primary goal, and you're willing to spend more, but you're not willing to compromise on the growth of your company. So the first few years before COVID, our CAGR was approximately 60%. And the industry was growing at 8%.
Right.
So 7 times, right? So that was the reason why we need to raise more.
I think this is also a more practical way of approaching entrepreneurship, because everyone wants to build the next Facebook or today Meta or whatever, wants to go to the space. What you did is you picked a market and innovated within that market, and you were profitable, or you were making money, you were making revenue.
Yes.
You got
We
to
were-
a certain stage
Yeah.
where the business looked healthy and you went out to raise money. And do you think this is safer?
So you need to match a few things.
Huh.
First you play to your strengths.
Right.
I mean, let's take real life. I played table tennis when I was a child. I played for Karnataka for 4 years. Now, if I go and play cricket today, I'm 100% sure I'm not going to be very good at it. It's like that. So I'm not going to be able to build an app like Grow and make it the next big thing. At least I don't think it plays to my strengths. So play to your strengths. Obviously, there are people who are great at it. They have built it and it's there for you to see. That's not me. So let me be clear of what I can do. More importantly, what I can't do.
Got it.
So first is that. Second, if I'm playing to my strengths, then I choose something that's playing to my strengths and what I feel I can do better. And that was something which was tech enabled and not just a tech product.
Right.
Not social media, not because that was not something that I understand so well. I couldn't understand Snapchat for like 1 week. I said, this chat and the photograph disintegrates in
24 hours.
24 hours. Why would somebody use something like this? But then, I
It
ate
blew up.
humble and how. So that's not my strength. So I was very clear that I can only run this type of businesses, and I looked at that type of business for me to build.
I think it's essential to highlight these kind of businesses more because we tend to gravitate towards the latter.
More sexy
but
businesses, so to
sexy
speak.
businesses, whereas boring businesses can be profitable, make money, and also be fundable and probably grow
Very
to
much,
1,000 crores in revenue.
Yeah.
Which is what we usually don't look at. I think you somewhere fall into real estate, which we don't attribute the value to real estate so much of. Okay, perfect. You built a predictable business. You went out to raise funding. Once upon a time, what happened was you were trying to raise some money, and 148 investors, 148 meetings didn't click for you. What really happened?
So this was in 2016, and we had scaled initially. We were in about 4 cities doing really well.
First, I want to picture this, and I want the audience to sort of picture this. How does the fundraise look like? Because for certain very connected people, it would be talking to people in their network. But how did you go about these 148 meetings? Was it a 6-month period, or were you running from meeting to meeting?
No. First, I took board approval. I had already got investors. This was Series B.
That were ready to raise.
That I was ready to raise. I had already raised Series A.
Right.
I had Peak 15 and I had RN Capital on my cap table already, and Growth Story.
Right.
All three on my cap table already.
Good names.
So, very good names.
Yeah.
So I got a board approval saying I want to go and raise 50 million. We were growing like month on month. We were growing like 50%. So it was like crazy growth.
What was the revenue?
That time we were doing about 3 crores a month, maybe. So about 36 crores on a run rate.
Right.
But from nothing, right? We had just started about a year or so, and after
You were growing fast.
we were growing really fast. Like literally, we were going like between 25 and 30% CAGR month on month. So it was like real. So we said, "Yaar, ye to slam dunk. We'll have one queue,
Crush it.
crush it, and you won't believe it. It got reported in the Times of India. Even you Google it now and say HomeLane 50 million fundraise in 2016. There was a.
Before you raised.
I didn't raise.
Oh,
But they reported that I raised.
Because you got the approval from investors that this guy is going out.
Yeah. I spoke to them and I told them at that point in time saying I am going to try and raise 50 million.
Yeah.
And they said, ho gaya raise, ho gaya. So, and I'm here on a cruise ship sitting in Hong Kong with my family, and I get a call from one of my board members.
Congrats.
Says, hey, you never told me you raised. I said, I haven't raised 50 million. I'm sorry to say. Anyway, that was the beginning of the end, so to speak, or of that fundraise end. I hired a banker, very good banker, to help me raise this because a large amount of money. We made a very nice deck, went and said, like 3 months, we're going to have the money in the bank. About a year and 15 months maybe later, I had met the number that you said, 148 people.
Okay.
And I had gotten no's.
How did these 15 months look like? Tell me, how do you raise? Does it happen on Gmeet? Does it happen in person meetings? Does it happen on calls? what were these 148 meetings like? Or
This
did
was
you travel
pre-COVID.
abroad?
This was pre-COVID. So pretty much most meetings were
2018?
face-to-face.
16.
No, 16 to 17.
Right.
So this was mostly face-to-face. So the epicenter of anyway the big bucks is in Mumbai. So you pretty much, I used to be in Mumbai every week, not every other week, every week pretty much, at least 1 or 2 days. Or they used to come over. So the banker did a fantastic job. I mean, they
Of
got
scheduling
me,
meetings?
they got the meetings, they got me in front of them. I did the pitch. Nobody wanted to bite. They just said, "Hey, this is just not happening. Your order book is growing, which is my orders incoming was growing, but the orders which I was delivering was not growing."
Okay.
So my top of my bucket, let's say I'm filling something into a bucket, it was coming quickly, but the next stage of the funnel, I need to convert that into revenue. You will book a kitchen. I have to deliver it to you, or you say, I want to renovate my house. Only when I finish renovating your house, I will be able to recognize the revenue. But when you pay me advance for your house, for the renovation, I'll book the order. So the order is only a precursor of the revenue that I will potentially make. That's how our business works.
So you were showing advances as
Not revenue, as order book.
proof of
As order book.
something
Saying, "aa raha hai,
working.
abhi aa raha hai."
Yeah,
वो
I
बोल
mean,
रहा है
this thing
रहता है,
works.
Yeah.
This thing works. I've been
This
able
thing
to
works.
sell.
I've been able to get, and I'm getting like crazy number of orders every month. It's
It's
going
like
up and
pre-booking
up
a
and
car.
up. Correct.
People pre-book their
Correct.
kitchen, and the car was yet to be
Yet to be
delivered.
delivered.
But Srikanth, I mean, you might make it sound like it's unusual, but so many entrepreneurs are doing it today. They have signed contracts in software businesses of an annual, I mean of a year that's yet to finish, but they show this signed contracts.
But they've already got the product or the platform today for which they are going to be getting paid 1 year later. But here it's different.
You got an advance. You got
I
a
got
part
an
payment.
advance. 1 minute. We're talking about the car example. It's a good example.
Huh.
You may be booking a car. Somebody was booking a spaceship. Somebody was booking a truck. Somebody was booking a bullock cart. And I was thinking that I would be able to deliver all of the above,
Okay.
which I could not.
Okay.
That was the root of the problem.
And these guys saw through it.
Obviously,
Okay.
I should have seen through it, but obviously, we all
Euphoria.
make our mistakes. Yeah. So, we basically used to accept orders, flooring, हाँ करेंगे, civil बिल्कुल करेंगे,
सब कुछ
kitchen करेंगे, अरे वो तो हमारा strength है, fall ceiling, of course करेंगे, painting, yes, but what, and customized. I've had customers, one customer come and say, my son loves music, आप cot बना रहे हो ना, piano के shape में बनाओ cot. We took that order also. Obviously, we didn't deliver. So, we were getting orders, but not able to. So, I met 148 people and I got as many no's. And what was the most humbling time of my life, I can tell you that much. I finished, by the time I raised external money, I did raise, by the way. You want to know how much I raised? That's not there in the info we gave you.
Okay, cool. Breaking news. Okay, tell me.
I raised a total of $2 million from external investors after going to raise 50 million.
Are you serious?
I'm not
So that
kidding.
149th
I'm not
investor
kidding
gave you $2 million.
Yes.
Oh.
But by then I had already told my internal investors, saying ये तो हो रहा है ना,
हाँ.
तो आप मुझे bridge round दे
round
दो.
दे दो,
So bridge round was 6 million and the new round was 2 million.
Oh.
So the tail wagged the dog, so to speak.
Right.
So
you want
my
to explain?
total round.
Let's explain the bridge round. So bridge round versus explain the bridge round and why this was a problem.
So the bridge round is typically done by internal existing investors at certain terms. Normally, it's at a discount to the price that is being done by a new investor. You don't know that price because it's yet to be discovered. So let's assume that you're going to go and raise at 100 rupees of valuation. If you raise at 100 rupees of valuation, the investors who put in, let's say, 10 rupees, will get it at a price of 80 rupees rather than at 100 rupees, 20% discount, because they have given you the money today.
Got it.
And before you have raised that round, basically. That's how bridge round works.
So you'd gone to investors saying that 50 million is coming.
तो मतलब हो गया अभी तो आ रहा है.
You want to be a part? I am happy to give you a little bit of discount.
Discount?
50 million is coming.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we want to be a part. Here you go, 6 million. But eventually what came was $2 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Wow is the right expression.
So what was the people saw through, so how you're explaining to me, standardization wasn't there. Too much of customization was there.
So one thing that was the big thing that I realized at that point in time was in our business, variety is the enemy of scale. You have too much of variety, then you can scale much lesser.
Right.
If I'm comparing this with a food and beverage business, you either run a fine dining restaurant, like super, you are vegan, you want whatever, all the meat, seafood, whatever, you want less salt, more salt, I cater to you.
Or you
run a QSR.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you have 10 items on your menu,
McDonald's.
you come and take the food, I will not come and serve you, you come and take the food. The 10th one, I can give you a little bit more peri-peri sauce maybe, but other than that, that's it.
Right.
Right? But I'm predictable, I'm value for money, and I'll give you a predictable experience every time you come.
McDonald's, KFC, Chai Point.
Whatever, there are enough more, wow, more, you have so many Indian examples also. So there are enough examples. So you either be this or that. We were trying to be somewhere in between or the fine dining, but we wanted to actually scale like a QSR. So hoga nahi na. So then we realized that that's not what we should be doing.
Tell me, did the investors tell you this upfront, or they said no? How did you see this, or how did you not see this before 148 meetings? Because
I saw it, but imagine this, right? You are in a train which is going at 100 kilometers an hour.
You don't want to stop.
You are hiring, and like your HR is on some steroids. And because of you told them to hire. And you're doing, then you realize, oh my God, my fundamentals are wrong. It's not easy.
You don't want to admit.
Done. First of all, you yourself have a denial.
Yeah.
And then you have to say, okay, now I have to change it. How the hell do I do that? And that takes time. And you are meeting 148. I mean, please think about it. 148 investors on an average, 2 meetings to karenge na?
Right.
Almost 300 meetings, yaar. There is 365 days in a year, including weekends. Imagine how many days I would have spent time, how much you have to prepare also, because each one is different, right? That one guy would have asked for this tweak, one guy would have asked saying that. So that's really the whole. But anyway, like they say, all is well that ends well. So we managed to completely change, pivot into the QSR, if I have to go back to the F&B example. And then we really scaled, and here we are.
You cut down all the customization you were offering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We said, first of all, we will not do civil. We will not do flooring. We will not do so many other things that we were doing earlier. And we will only we started only with modular furniture. And slowly we've added now very few things, one by one by one.
Modular as in kitchen and wardrobes?
Wardrobes, entertainment units, puja units, study tables, and so on. That's about
5-6 things. That's it.
About 10 things, yeah.
Got it. Did the money come in after you made the tweaks? 2 mil? 2 mil came?
Yeah, 2 mil came. Yeah.
No, 2 mil came after you made the tweaks in the business?
Yes. Somewhere around then, yeah.
And what if the 2 mil didn't come?
We would have shut shop.
Yeah?
100%.
2 mil saved your business?
100%, yeah. That's 6 plus the 2.
Okay.
I mean, if the
6 didn't come...
If the 6 didn't come, then there was no use of the 2 coming, I guess.
Right.
So it's actually the 8 million which saved our life.
Right. Tell me a little bit about this, you sort of, don't mind me saying this, you lost sense of reality. What was really happening. And you also went into denial. You didn't want to admit the heavy burden that was coming your way. You were like, this can't be, this cannot be, If all of your actions were done in a different direction or were not in tune with reality. When does that happen? Does that happen very often to folks? And how do you really come to, tell me the emotional part of it. How do you really bring yourself here? Did somebody have to tell you, did your wife have to tell you? So who told you this, that, hey, calm down, maybe we have to do this hard work of redesigning things?
So, by the way, you smoking your own Kool-Aid, as I call it, or drinking or smoking, whatever you want to call it, happens quite often, more often than you and I think.
Right.
By the way, it should happen according to me. If you are not the biggest believer of your entrepreneur's idea, who is going to be the biggest believer? You
Right.
can't expect somebody else to be the biggest believer, right? You have to be your biggest proponent. There's no doubt about it. But there is a line which you should not cross, which is that think that you can make no mistake. Think that whatever you do, we entrepreneurs get a God complex very often. सब कुछ, there is not too many people who say no to you. Your team तो never says no. You जो तुम बोलते हो वही है, right? And your investors are funding you, so you think that you can sell anything to anybody.
Plus, you have so many people who are employed at your payroll. You're able
That's
to
what I'm saying.
move things overnight.
Yeah.
With a
So
call.
you do get a God complex.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is very this one. So, which is the most dangerous thing, because when you get that, that's when you can make your biggest mistakes. And it's happened to me multiple times. This is my 32nd year as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur 31 years. Somebody would think I would learn in that time, right? But we still make mistakes. We do. Thankfully, hopefully not the same ones and not as big as the previous one. But yeah, that's what it is.
Tell me, how do you come back to reality?
I think it's the ability to look at the mirror and tell yourself the absolute truth.
So it has to come from within.
There's no other way.
Investors can't.
You need some external guidance. I'll tell you what happened to me. I got lucky.
Okay.
I got gifted this book called Uncommon Service. I highly recommend it.
Uncommon?
Service.
Okay.
It's a HBS authored book by this lady called Frances Frey, who used to teach marketing at Harvard. She says in that book, no business in service delivery can be great at everything. No business.
No business
In service delivery.
can
If you're
be.
in a services business, we are in a service. It's product plus service, right?
Right.
You can't be great at everything, even if you want to be.
Got it.
Everything meaning price, variety, timeliness, choice, service, service quality, all of it, you cannot be the best.
So pick your point.
If you try to be the best at everything, at best you will be mediocre at everything. That's her theory. So she says, choose what you want to be bad at.
Okay.
So it's counterintuitive.
Right.
So her thing is, unless you're bad at something, you can't be great at something.
Right.
So for me, what we wanted to be great at was predictability. We wanted to give predictable quality, predictable timeline. For that, we necessarily needed to be bad at variety. So first of all, do fewer things. And even in that, so for example, take this. This is a laminate, right? This is a typical laminate. If you go to a competitor, you will get 2000 laminate colors. With HomeLane, you will get today 108 laminate colors. But what does that happen? What has that done to my business? A, I deliver the fastest. B, my costs are the cheapest, because per SKU, I buy the most volume. So I can command a 15, 20, 30% cheaper price than anybody else because I'm buying more volume.
Right.
So that really is the difference between, that's what's really the, if I may say so, I can't say light bulb moment. It was not a moment. It was more like a light bulb quarter. But I kind of mulled through that and said, hey, how am I even going to solve this? What am I landed myself into? अच्छा खासा 5 million मिल रहा था एडटेक के लिए, वो नहीं किया, इधर आगे 2 million के लिए तड़प रहा हूँ.
Probably shutting my business.
Yeah. But then thankfully we found a way.
Wow. Okay. Very nice. I want to come back. I want to come to audience questions shortly. Before that, I want to ask you one last question. If you were to start from scratch today, and none of your bank balance is available, no funding is available, no connections also, how would you start up? What would you do? What would you do? Like which playground, which industry, where will you play, and what would you do?
Once again, I will only go to an industry which I think either I know or I think I can learn about. Like for example, interior design I knew nothing about. I have learned from scratch. I only knew it as a customer, like you know it. Like
what appealed to you about interior design? I should have asked you much earlier, but why interior design?
Oh,
good margins?
Simple. No. You go to 100 people on the road today who have done their house and you ask them, अच्छा कैसा था आपका interior design का journey? They will cry on your shoulder. Even today, 99 out of 100 will cry on your shoulder for 10 minutes and only then send you. Hopefully, none of them are bought from HomeLane, but I'm saying that is really that was the industry.
Right.
So I said, this is a complicated problem to solve, but it's a real problem.
Right.
And I want to solve a real problem.
Got it.
One is to say marketplace करो, इसको connect करो, customer को लो, इसको factory को लो, दोनों को मिलाओ, 10% commission दो, निकल जाओ. But I didn't want to do that. I thought that will not solve the problem. And that guy is still going to give bad service and that guy is still going to be unhappy, right? So I said no. Then let me only try and solve it. So that was one. Two, I thought the gross margins, and I think I've been proven right, the gross margins are very good in this business.
Right.
Because it's customized furniture. It's not like the sofa. I can't take a picture and then check on the internet as to how much this costs. You can do that to this, but you will not get a price because every single thing is customized here. That was the difference. So I said there is no MRP.
Customized is like it's your own recipe, but you've been...
But there's no MRP to it.
Right.
The handle changes, the price will change. The laminate changes, the price will change.
Right.
The prop changes, the price will change. Everything, right? The lighting changes, the price will change.
So opportunities to earn are a lot more.
Lot
With every
more. You
tweak,
cannot-
there's an opportunity to earn.
Customers really, because it's so customized, it's very difficult to compare. There is no MRP. That's really the way to look at it.
And I want to clarify, customization in your case means picking from a set of available options, not from everything. No
So look
rocket
at it like
ships,
layers of skin.
Huh.
Multiple layers are there. Each one you can customize.
Subway.
Subway. So you can pick each. Exactly.
Awesome. Cool. Now let's talk audience's questions. We have somebody asking you, what are the early warning signs that a startup needs to pivot? You realize a little too late.
Yeah.
What are the early warning signs?
So the early warning signs, actually, again, it depends on what the business is, but let me try and take a consumer business because that's what I'm running now in the last 10 years at least. So if you are really spending so much on CAC,
Cost of acquiring a customer.
customer acquisition cost,
Yeah.
and you're not seeing the customer's lifetime value being that high. Let me go back to my EdTech example, right? So you spend, let's assume, I used to run the Studio Vista business and $100 per month is what we were charging them
In
for
education,
tutoring,
right?
in education,
Okay.
right? But it used to cost us about $20 only to acquire a customer. What we realized was at scale, this was not sustainable, but initially to grow the business, it was okay. But as we were growing the business, you need to monitor CAC to see whether it's 20 is becoming 10 at some point in time. Otherwise, you would not be able to sustain it at the same level. Because at 20% CAC, you are losing money per transaction. You have to pay the teacher, you have to pay the service provider, internet service provider, you have to pay the phone provider, all of them, right? After all that, you are losing money. So that was not sustainable. What was the hope is that, acha, aapne EMI join kiya. So your LTV, even if you stay for 6 months, it is 6 months into $100. So $600 ho gaya. So mera CAC automatically gir gaya. But suppose you are dropping off after 1 month, or at least 90% of the people are dropping off, then there's something wrong.
Right.
Either your product is not good, service is not good, or the market it's too early. For us, it was really early into the market, but that was what it was. So look for those signs and see if your CAC is way too high, or if the stickiness is not there. If your business should be sticky and it's not being sticky, then it's not the customer's fault. It's your fault. So the customer will do what they want to do. I mean, it's very clearly it's their choice. So they will do what is right for them. So that is, or then try and pivot. I told you, right? We used to have this for $100 all you can eat menu in tutoring. We didn't have too many takers. But for $25, 15 minutes, I'll solve your homework problem for tomorrow. We had a queue. So here the ROI was much better, but you were solving a real problem. You needed that guy needs his homework problem solved then, and he's not willing to wait. He can't wait till tomorrow because tomorrow is his homework day. So think of pivots which you can do to kind of get there. And and yeah, but that's really what I would say.
So I don't think we were live when we were talking about it
I
off
know.
camera. So you're
Yeah.
saying you had an education business where you had $100 all access pass. You could
All access pass
come
for a
and
month,
right,
and you could do as many hours of tutoring that you wanted.
right.
And there were not too many takers for that. People said, "Ha, theek hai," and they were not even using it much. It's not like they were using like 10 hours and feeling happy about it.
But they really needed homework help.
But then we launched a new product,
Yeah.
which was for 15 minutes tutoring, but $25 for that.
Right.
That we had a lot of demand for because we were solving a instant gratification problem and we were charging a premium for it, which people were willing to pay.
Got
So
it.
I'm saying just those kind of pivots may be very, very useful.
You can tweak things a little. But the signs that you must tweak are number one, either you're paying too much to get a customer or the customer is not sticking
Sticking.
through. In either cases, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thanks. Next is okay, this is a broad question, philosophical question. Your most important lesson that you learned throughout your multiple entrepreneurial journeys.
Most important lessons, so many of them. I think the most important lesson though to me would be you need to be the brand ambassador of the culture that you want to promote in your company. Especially the larger it gets, it's the buck stops on your table. You need to behave like how you want the HomeLaner to behave, for me at least, right? And that is a huge responsibility and not easy to do. Okay, I'll give you one more. I can't just have one because there's so many lessons. Many times, the prioritization that you need to do when your company is at a 0 to 1 stage, which is like, PMF stage, and 1 to 10 stage and 10 to 100 stage are very, very different. Your job as the CEO, if you are the CEO or co-founder, is to be able to discern when you need to prioritize what. Right? Let me give you an example, right? When you're very early stage and you're doing a tech product company, as long as you know that the customer is sticky enough, you have your daily users and your weekly users coming in, that's the most important thing, and you need to be hands-on on it yourself.
In the beginning.
But in the beginning, because you
Yeah.
don't know whether you have PMF or not.
Right.
But fast forward, you need somebody who can help you distribute that. You may not, and you will not be able to do everything yourself. I mean, thankfully, I was never an interior designer, so I did start also. But I'm saying, even if you are a practitioner, you will not be able to do it yourself. Can you identify the right people with the right skills at the right time and empower them to get that done? To me, that's the most important skill of an entrepreneur.
Finding the right people, placing them at the right place at the right time
At
for
the
your
right
company.
time, it's very important
and
because
giving-
those people will be different at different times in your startup. So you can't say, "Acha yaar, he's my chuddy buddy. I studied with him from school." I mean, nothing wrong with it. But be clear that that needs to go hand in hand with whether he's the right guy for the
business
at that point in time.
Yes, got it. Okay, that brings me to a very relevant next question. See, okay, let's say you had money to hire talent, not like you were out of money, but even then, good employees are looking for brands. They're not jumping at the next offer. How did you attract and retain top talent at early stage when you probably didn't have the biggest check to pay them?
So I've always believed in stock options very much, and
Okay.
I'd seen the power of stock options even in my last business. So
Okay.
I understood that quite
ESOPs.
well. ESOPs.
Yeah.
So when I started the business, I had convinced our investors to allocate 15% as stock options. Obviously, it's got watered down now, but when we started with the 15%. So in the initial stages, when the mortality rate of startups is very high, you also give out a little bit more to the person who's taking the risk. Because it's more high risk, high reward.
Right.
And that's exactly what I did. The things that you sell are different. And I can give you, without taking names again, we had a gentleman who was the senior product manager at Google, who was earning multiple crores as salary.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, I'm talking like 2016, 2017, during those tough times,
Right.
join us for less than 1/4 the cash. But I gave him good enough stock options to compensate. And he was willing to because of two reasons. I said, you will work directly in my team. So you will like get so close to the decision making. It'll be super transparent. And if at all you want to start up at some point in time in your life, this is like going to be the best ride you'll
This
ever.
is a launch pad.
Yeah, for you. And obviously, this is an opportunity to make every home beautiful.
Right.
That if that excites you, then this is the place for you to come and join.
Right.
So, and he stayed with us for some time, but he did stay with us. So, to convince somebody to come at 25% of what he was earning is not easy, right? It is an actual example. By the way, he started up today in the US and he's a successful startup entrepreneur. So, finally, maybe it worked
So he
out.
bought you and he bought the experience that you were willing to provide him. And he took a 75% pay cut for that.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone's willing to do that. Not everyone's also able to do that. It's not like, I will decide in your favor. I'm not able to decide. How do you find these people who are also willing to take a bet on you? Sure, I can give them the cash. I can give them ESOPs. How do you find such people?
Your primary
Who are these guys?
Your primary job of being a CEO or a co-founder is to sell your vision. And it does not mean you sell your vision only to people who are giving you a check.
Right.
In fact, you are selling it all the time. I'm selling it to you right now as I speak.
Right.
That's really because I truly live, believe, breathe it. That's the reason why I do it all the time, not for any other reason. So if you're going to hire somebody, I will definitely do the same passionate selling as much as I would do in front of a VC. Because the sale is no less for me. I need more people to believe. I need more people to follow. I need more people to join and believe that this is going to be great for both of us together.
Right.
That is really what
Not
you're
only
doing.
me.
And you're doing
Yeah.
it all the time. So again, this is all about, you don't need 100 people to believe you at that stage. You only need that one person. Yeah, you may need to talk to 20 people for that you're finding that one person. So be it. So along with that 148, I also met 20 other people and convinced one person to join as CPO. I mean, that person joined as Chief Product Officer. So yeah, so that's really your job as a co-founder. That's what you're there for.
Very nice. Last question. You've had good investors, but what are some of the red flags founders should look out for in an investor?
There are multiple red flags.
Have you, okay, you don't want to talk about if you've faced bad investors, but okay.
No. I mean, that's okay. I mean, it's not like there's nothing personal, right? I mean,
Right.
it's just that you have a difference of opinion or not. So
Okay.
I don't take anything personally at all.
Right.
I may have a really bad disagreement. The next day, you're back, to square one.
No, but
and
what's a
start.
red flag in an investor?
So red flags, I would say, would be few. If even before signing, that the investors looking for terms which are more inhibitive rather than progressive. For example, if he's telling you, hey, my money should be protected, but 2x return at least I need to get. Right? Not fair game. Returning his money, fair game. Suppose he's put in 100 rupees.
There's a word for this, no? What is it called? 2x, 1x or something?
Yeah, it's called preference, liquidation
preference, yes.
It's called liq pref.
Yeah.
Somebody is asking you for a 2x or a 3x liq pref, some people ask. Then it's a red flag for me, because then what he's saying is, till you return 2 times the money I have put in, you don't even stand in the queue, which to me is unfair, because I think I should be allowed to stand in the queue if I've returned the money he's put in.
Got it.
He's also taking some risk. He's taking your life on it.
He has multiple bets.
Yeah. So that's one example, but it's a big one. So if some of the terms are inhibitive like that, like I said, restrictive like that, I don't mind that, by the way. Then you also give me on the other side, which means if I hit the ball out of the park, then you give me 2x more then.
Yeah. Are you willing to take less?
Okay, I'm willing to take this risk.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give you 2x. But if I give you 10x, are you then willing to give me more? If that's not, then that's a balanced, reasonable outcome. But if you have only a one-sided argument, then that to me is a big red flag. That's one. Second, operationally be very clear on what the Lakshman Rekha is. You are the one running it.
Boundary?
Yes, boundary is. You are the one running the business. You should be the one taking day-to-day decisions, nobody else. Definitely not an investor who's meeting you once in 3 months or even once a month. Right? Because nobody should know the business as well as you do. So, to me, if somebody is coming to step on to your toes too much, friendly advice, always welcome. Intros for good resources, always welcome. Most of my best hires have been intros from my VCs. Most of them. My co-founder was introduced by Peak 15.
Nice.
So,
Tanuj.
Yeah, Tanuj. So, fantastic, right? Why would you? You also need to be open. You can't say, acha yaar, tu bol raha hai to 100% I will not hire that person. That also can't be. But be clear on, that's what I said, who will run operationally. So, those would be my top 2 red flags.
Why do investors, who are asking for 2x liquidation preference and dictating terms, why do these exist? What is their rationale at play? Or you're just saying these are peculiar
They
kinds?
have this, no, each one, right? You worked under many managers in your career, I'm assuming. You found a manager who's a control freak, micromanager. Acha, what did you do today between 10:30 and 11:30? I didn't see you in the office today. You were not logged in on Zoom also. By the way, did you do your biometric and did you give this one? You've had managers, I'm sure at some point in time. If you have not, good for you. But I'm saying you've heard of them at least.
Right.
So VCs also come out different types. Yeah, some
it's a
of them
personality
want
trait.
to know the minute details. Some of them don't. The mature ones don't. So you should try and find them.
Interesting. Okay. Awesome. This was great. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Hey,
Srikanth.
I had a great time. Thanks so much.
So did we. So did everyone. Thank you so much. That's a wrap. Thank you, guys.
See you.